Are you an overthinker and you don't believe in yourself and you don't know where that actually comes from? Because as far as you're concerned, you actually grew up in a really good childhood. There wasn't any problems. Mum and dad's still together. Enjoyable childhood, but you were an only child. So there was always that overthinking, putting pressure on yourself to be the best, to be prepared. The what ifs used to jump in quite a lot because you were on your own, so it was up to you to do the best you could possibly do. And sometimes you doubted yourself because you had nobody to lean on to believe in oneself. Making sense a little bit. So a wonderful lady come to me who was going out of her comfort zone, definitely did not feel safe, had a fear of flying, and this was for a job interview that she was feeling, could she really do this? There was a big streak of self doubt. Out of her comfort zone, she didn't feel safe. She was worrying, and yes, she said, growing up, I knew that my mum was a worrier, so I felt I needed to worry, and that was the way that I could prepare myself. And it's true, isn't it? We learn that behaviour of our parents, but do we need to worry to prepare ourselves to do good as well? So she was going for a job that she felt that she could do quite easily, and it didn't even feel like a job, but there was that deep sense of fear of failure. What if I let people down? What if I was a loser and that I'd have to back out of the job interview itself and come back with my tail between my legs, feeling that, I was never going to do anything different. I always had to be in the same job for 30 plus years. And a lot of people get into that rut where they stop in the same job for 30 plus years. So we in the therapy went back to this inner loneliness that she felt, and I'm just reading it on her notes now. I feel that loneliness all the time, and it's why I have to have an anchor. Now, an anchor, I asked her to describe that anchor, and she described it like an anchor that you would drop into the ocean. So that anchor was making her feel trapped, stuck, upset, lonely, rejected, always felt upset, needing to worry, not listened to, not being heard. I hear this a lot with people as well. That she'd have self doubt, not believe in herself. She'd what if. She always had to be prepared because she didn't feel safe. And she got that intense fear of failure, of overthinking because she didn't believe in herself. So, what was the point in hanging on to this anchor? I actually asked her what she wanted to do with the anchor, and she said straight away, I'm already doing it. And she was dropping it into the sea. Now, I asked her to imagine that anchor had got all those words, those emotions that she no longer wanted on that anchor. And she says, I have. That's exactly, you've read my mind. That's exactly what I'm doing. And I said, what's happening? What's happening now? It's as easy as this conversational hypnotherapy. And she said, it's sinking. It's going to the bottom of the ocean on a big long chain. Now, that chain to me, I wanted to break the chain. I didn't want her to be able to pull that anchor back up metaphorically. So we did some other tools and techniques that she came up with. I do not give her tools and techniques to cut that chain so that anchor could never be retrieved. And she could be her own anchor inside herself to have that self-belief, that self-confidence, that self-worth. But where did it come from? Well, because she didn't like fear of flying, and she didn't like being in that steel tube effect, travelling on any transport, it was awful for her. Public transport was a no-no. She regressed straight away back to being on a bus on the top deck, at the top row with her mum. Years ago when we used to be able to smoke on board buses, like we used to smoke on board aeroplanes when I first started to fly. Strange, really, that we were able to do that. So she was sitting there as a little girl smoking, and her mum was puffing away, and she was putting a hand up to her mouth like that, so she wasn't heard. There's that metaphor that she referred back to I'm not being listened to, and it's upsetting that Mom's smoking because she knows that I worry about her smoking. So, because she was also doing this, putting her sleeve up to her mouth because all she wanted to do was get some fresh air. The only thing I can think of, this was her sentence, is I want to breathe. The only thing I can think of is to breathe. That's all she wanted to do. Yet, by putting a hand over her mouth, how's that going to help her breathing? By putting her elbow up and breathing into her sleeve, how's that helping her breathe? And she just wanted to get off. And she remembered this feeling. So whenever she got on board something similar, i.e. an aeroplane, a train, a boat, anything that was steel tube-like, she got exactly that same memory, that somatic stress fired, it ignited again in her body. It made her feel exactly the same. The same overthinking thoughts went through her head. The same feelings were going on in her body. She got a knot in her stomach. She got like a little cramp here because she was cramped up sitting next to her mom, coughing kind of thing. All these things from one memory that she'd filed away that she didn't really want to think about because it wasn't in particular a bad memory, a significant memory, and it really doesn't need to be to have this feeling of feeling stuck and trapped and wanting to escape. We're each and every one of us different, so each and every one of the incidents that we go through in life affect us differently as well. One sibling can be affected and one sibling can be not affected but still be in the same situation. So this is how this lady unravelled her own travel fear. So being on a bus at the top deck on the top row with the mom smoking, hand up to her mouth, trying to get some fresh air. The only thing I can think of is to just to breathe. I just wanted to get off and everything be all good in the hood, and she just couldn't breathe. I feel that loneliness all the time, and it's why I need an anchor. So we reframed that belief, that repetitive overthinking where she wasn't believing in herself, that she needed to worry like she worried on that bus with her mum, worrying about her mum. Because that was just a standard thing that way back then, travelling with your parents, and if they smoked, they would smoke upstairs. But it doesn't mean that we have to carry that feeling for the rest of our life. And remember those thoughts and allow those thoughts to carry on overthinking in our mind, resulting in those physical reactions in our body. So lo and behold, when I tested this lady, her words were, it's all good in the hood. All good in the hood. I'm happy with that. So I'm looking forward to seeing if she's gone for this interview and she's able to travel on public transport. She's already flying, but let's fly higher now because she absolutely deserves every ounce of happiness.